a couple of months back, some fraud named Liam Robertson released a Donkey Kong video claiming that there was a 3D project in development at Vicarious Visions, which was unceremoniously canceled. I made a video, making fun of the creator of the video, Liam Robertson. He is a fraud. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He makes it all up. All these people are complete and utter frauds. I personally called the 3D Donkey Kong game being made because of moves Nintendo was making in regards to the theme park, DK's role in the movie. It was kind of obvious to me that a big major Donkey Kong project was in production, which was why there were so many people, coming to the same conclusion that I was, only they were pretending to have insider information and that they were just going left and right and just throwing all these really ridiculous claims out there that really do need to be talked about and dismissed, because I do think it's very frustrating how so many people still pay attention to or acknowledge these Nintendo leakers, these fraudsters, people who take Patreon dollars to make stuff up about the industry. And obviously there are countless examples of this over the years, games like Pokemon Stars and, Star Fox Grand Prix, Endless Ocean 3 was something that was teased as a Wii U launch title. These days it feels like this kind of stuff doesn't get the same kind of traction it used to. But in the wake of Donkey Kong Bananza being revealed, this project that was very obvious to those of us who were paying attention to what Nintendo was doing, we do need to talk about what happened here with this video. What did Liam Robertson try to do? His what was it, an hour-long video essay of him just rambling about what some guy said on Twitter. Let's see, I had it brought up. Yeah, was it an hour? Hour-long video, going over something that some guy said on some message board, which was disputed by some other guy, which completely contradicts what that information said. Again, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that Donkey Kong is a major Nintendo brand and that Nintendo very well make a new one. This wasn't hard to figure out, right? Again, anybody who was paying attention could have seen this coming, right? You did not need insider sources to know that a major new Donkey Kong game was in production. But the thing about this ridiculous, completely false Liam Robertson video is the fact that he erroneously claims that Vicarious Visions was behind the initial pitch for Donkey Kong. That was his legit narrative. That Nintendo went to this literally Who studio and told them handed them the reins to their most iconic IP, and then for some reason took it back. That's legit the narrative of this video, is that they started development on this game, but Nintendo took it back because of Activision, and it's just a gigantic cope. Vicarious Visions has never produced anything of value. Oh wait, but they remastered Spyro and Crash. I don't care. Those games were never good. Those games were nowhere near DK's level. Okay? I don't know what it was with Vicarious Vision, the Visions 5 years ago, but there was this really weird push among the community to act as if they were some major up and coming 3D platforming studio. There were all these narratives about how they were going to make their own, make new entries in all these games, and that they were going to dominate, and that they were going to compete with Nintendo, and now they're just done. They don't produce shit. Okay. They're trash. They always were trash. They always would be trash. This idea that Nintendo would contract them because of a remaster of Crash Bandicoot is laughably stupid, laughably off base, and really does need to be like called out for how stupid it is. This is what Liam Robertson always does, is that he cites some source that's like tangentially associated with the project, some retro employee, some journo, some guy on a website, and then he cites them as like reliable sources. and every single time, what they come up with is just complete and utter insanity, complete out of touch with reality. It does need to be said, that this idea that like Nintendo is contracting these Western developers, like, it really needs to stop. Okay, there's a reason it doesn't happen. There's a reason Nintendo doesn't trust them with their big relevant IPs. There's a reason why they're reluctant to work with Westerners, because they are complete shit. They do not produce good games. Their retention rate of talent is awful. They never want to do anything other than just stale derivative like FPS rehashes, right? Like, they don't have the talent to produce what Nintendo needs produced, okay? And I'm glad to see that like the new Donkey Kong game is developed in-house at Nintendo, because the quality we're seeing with that game is far beyond anything what like the developers of Skylanders or like or the like could have produced, right? The difference in quality between that and like Western slop is just insane. And it does need to be talked about more, just how far ahead of the rest of the industry Nintendo actually is compared to their contemporaries. Like, there is just no other studio that could have produced this game. This idea that like Nintendo would have like contracted this out to like a nobody studio first and then like stole it back is just retarded. Okay, like this isn't like the dumbest narrative I've seen like Liam Robertson put out, because at least there was like some basis in reality for it. There was a 3D Donkey Kong game in development at Nintendo, but clearly, literally, who Vicarious Visions had nothing to do with it. It is an issue. Okay, like seeing these kind of stories come out unchallenged, and seeing the people behind it, do their best to silence those who would speak out against them. I got my video calling that video out taken down because like Liam Robertson threw a temper tantrum over me like addressing this, and still mad about that. We'll continue calling these people out. We'll continue addressing this kind of thing. Your story was completely baseless and unfounded. Nobody cares what you have to say about anything.